The girl raised by wolves, the silent daughter of the mountains, in the frozen breath of the Carpathian Mountains, where silence is pierced only by the howl of the wind or the cry of a distant predator, there lives a legend, a tale of loss, of survival, of something both terrifying and magnificent. It is whispered in villages, painted in cave art, and feared by hunters. It is the story of the girl the wolves raised. It began in winter. A terrible blizzard raged across the mountains. A van carrying a family of 4 veered off the icy road and plunged down a ravine into the heart of the forest. Search teams came, but the snowfall erased all traces. The wreckage wasn't found for weeks. When they did find it, they found 3 bodies: mother, father, infant son. The youngest daughter, barely 3 years old, was gone or taken. No footprints, no trail, just the open door of the van and crimson in the snow. Most believed she had died, claimed by the cold or the wolves. But the truth, buried beneath ice and time, was far stranger. She didn't die. She became one of them. Years later, in a clearing thick with snow and moonlight, a hunter, old and weathered, haunted by stories he'd once dismissed, saw her for the first time. A shape moved through the trees, low to the ground, but not like any wolf. It was upright, human, or what used to be human. She crept silently across the snow, barefoot, her limbs sinewy and strong. Her hair was matted with earth, her skin scarred and hardened by years of exposure. She was cloaked in animal pelts, her eyes reflecting moonlight like a predator. She didn't speak, she snarled, and beside her were wolves, a pack of 6, surrounding her, protecting her. They moved as one. When she paused, they paused. When she advanced, they advanced, not as pets, not as trained beasts, as family. The hunter lowered his rifle. He knew this was no ghost. This was the child lost years ago. Now a girl of 16, not just surviving, but thriving. With the wolves, the world reacts. When the world heard of her, the legend exploded. The silent daughter, the wolf girl, the beast of the Carpathians. No one could approach her. Scientists, journalists, anthropologists, all tried. None succeeded. She disappeared deeper into the forest whenever they came. She left no trail. She knew the land too well. She moved like mist. Only one man gained her trust. Dr. Elias Varga, a reclusive Romanian ethologist who had spent his life studying wolves, chose not to approach her directly. Instead, he observed from afar, mimicked the pack's behavior, offered food without speaking. For months, he watched, and then one morning, he awoke to find her crouched at the edge of his camp, watching him. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, and beside her was the alpha, massive, silver-coated, eyes like burning frost. Elias held still, no sudden moves. Then, she did something unexpected. She took a bite of the meat he had left for the wolves. She had accepted him. What she became, Dr. Varga's journal would later describe her not as feral, but as wildly wise. She communicated through movement, expression, and growls, an entire language of body and sound. She could climb like a lynx, track like a wolf, and vanish like shadow. But more incredible was her relationship with the wolves. She wasn't their prisoner. She was their sister, their protector, their leader. They obeyed her, deferred to her. The alpha wolf, towering and regal, walked always by her side. They shared food, slept together, hunted as one. Dr. Varga came to understand that she hadn't just learned to live like wolves. She had become one. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. And beside her was the alpha, massive, silver-coated, eyes like burning frost. Elias held still, no sudden moves. And then she did something unexpected. She took a bite of the meat. What she became, Dr. Varga's journal would later describe her not as feral, but as wildly wise. She communicated through movement, expression, and growls, an entire language of body and sound. She could climb like a lynx, track like a wolf, and vanish like shadow. But more incredible was her relationship with the wolves. She wasn't their prisoner. She was their sister, their protector, their leader. They obeyed her, deferred to her. The alpha wolf, towering and regal, walked always by her side. They shared food, slept together, hunted as one. Dr. Varga came to understand that she hadn't just learned to live like wolves. She had become one. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. And beside her was the alpha, massive, silver-coated, eyes like burning frost. Elias held still, no sudden moves. And then she did something unexpected. She took a bite of the meat he had left for the wolves. She had accepted him. What she became, Dr. Varga's journal would later describe her not as feral, but as wildly wise. She communicated through movement, expression, and growls, an entire language of body and sound. She could climb like a lynx, track like a wolf, and vanish like shadow. But more incredible was her relationship with the wolves. She wasn't their prisoner. She was their sister, their protector, their leader. They obeyed her, deferred to her. The alpha wolf, towering and regal, walked always by her side. They shared food, slept together, hunted as one. Dr. Varga came to understand that she hadn't just learned to live like wolves. She had become one. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. And beside her was the alpha, massive, silver-coated, eyes like burning frost. Elias held still, no sudden moves. And then she did something unexpected. She took a bite of the meat he had left for the wolves. She had accepted him. What she became, Dr. Varga's journal would later describe her not as feral, but as wildly wise. She communicated through movement, expression, and growls, an entire language of body and sound. She could climb like a lynx, track like a wolf, and vanish like shadow. But more incredible was her relationship with the wolves. She wasn't their prisoner. She was their sister, their protector, their leader. They obeyed her, deferred to her. The alpha wolf, towering and regal, walked always by her side. They shared food, slept together, hunted as one. Dr. Varga came to understand that she hadn't just learned to live like wolves. She had become one. Now, years have passed. No one knows where Mira is. Some say she lives deep in the forest, now fully wolf. Others claim they've seen her from afar, crouched beside a new alpha. Some say she watches over lost children, guiding them home. But those who truly knew her, like Elias, say this: Mira was not a girl who became an animal. She was the daughter of the forest, born human, raised wild, and she chose the call of the wild over the noise of the world. And maybe she was never truly lost, only returned to where she belonged, the forgotten winter. After the tragedy with the alpha wolf, Mira changed. She didn't howl with the pack anymore. She didn't run for joy through the snow. She was quieter, slower, and something darker stirred in her eyes. Elias noticed it immediately. She's grieving, he wrote in his journal. But this is more than grief. It's rage and guilt. Because Mira blamed herself. She had always protected them, and now one of them was dead. Her instincts, the same ones that had kept her alive since childhood, had failed her when it mattered most. That winter, the sanctuary's cameras stopped capturing images of Mira. Even the wolves were fewer in number. Some said she left with only 2 companions, a jet black male and a pale, limping female. They moved like shadows, always at night. Elias feared she was preparing for something. He was right. The reckoning. Weeks later, in a village 50 miles away, strange reports surfaced. Livestock were untouched, yet guard dogs were found injured. Wolves had been seen, large ones, but they didn't behave like any wild pack. They moved with military precision. They left no prints, no blood, no sign of feeding, and behind them, a girl in white. At least, that's what the terrified shepherd said. She walked upright, but not like us. Her eyes, they weren't human. They watched me. Government officials called it mass hysteria, but Elias knew better. Mira wasn't hunting people. She was watching them, studying them, judging them. Because somewhere, out there, the poachers who had destroyed her peace were still free. And wolves, they don't forget. The encounter. The night Elias heard her knock on his door, he didn't believe it at first. It was snowing heavily. Visibility was near zero, but there she stood, barefoot, her arms red with frost, her face expressionless. Her wolves flanked her, as always. She held something wrapped in deer hide,